So you guys have seen the title of this video and you probably know what it's about at this point. I'll be honest to say, I really don't know what to say to you guys, but this is something that I want to talk about. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you'll notice that I have been absent for the better part of a couple of weeks. Same thing over on Patreon as well. And I really feel bad about it, actually. The last thing I want to do is to not have new videos uploaded because it kind of feels like I'm bailing on you guys, and that's not what's happening at all. So I kind of wanted to talk about what has been happening, why my video output has reduced in really the last month or so. But I don't want this video to be something where you guys start feeling sorry for me or anything. That's not the point of this. I really just wanted to, first of all, just offer you an explanation about, what's been going on. But also I think it's important to talk about stuff like this because I think there are a lot of other people around the world, especially right now, with stuff that's going on, that might be going through the same thing. If there is somebody out there going through the same thing, even if it's just one person, to kind of let them know that they're not alone through this video, and also just to offer some maybe encouragement to people out there as well. That's really the reason I wanted to make this. And I know this isn't a reaction video, it's very different from my other content, but it does affect my channel and it's a big part of my life. So I just wanted to be honest with you guys. And I want to let you know Scarlett is fine. Apparently there are rumors that she's dead. She's not. There you go. See, she's up here. See, she's here. Say hi, Scarlett. Say hi, Scarlett. She's doing just fine, guys. Say, oh, I'm not dead. No, I'm not dead. No, no. Oh. Alright. So basically, to cut to the chase, the past month or so, well, really the past 6 weeks actually, well, actually going back to the beginning of February, things really started to go downhill for me. Anxiety is actually something that I've had my entire life, ever since I was a baby. So I've never really known what it feels like to not have anxiety as a constant in your life. So I guess I've had generalized anxiety my entire life, plus also health anxiety, or hypochondria if you want to go with the less politically correct term for it, I guess. But I've always just obsessed over my health and always worried that I have some sort of terminal illness. Just being sick in general, it just kind of freaks me out, because I always have these visions that pop into my head of the worst case happening. What if I am that 1 in a million chance that I'm that person that dies from just the normal flu, or my stomach's a little upset, I'm gonna have food poisoning for 4 days. What if I have to go to the hospital and get IV antibiotics, or I've got this horrible headache, I've got an aneurysm or brain cancer, just stuff that most people would just dismiss. I catastrophize it and it becomes this horrible thing that might happen, But I've also just had really intrusive thoughts my entire life. If I'm in a situation where I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone, my thoughts will just start to go crazy about all of the bad things that could happen. And even just over normal everyday situations, again, that most people wouldn't even think twice about, I can work myself into a panic attack about. And it always made fun things spending the night at a friend's house, slumber parties. I was always I just hated being away from home and being, again, outside of my comfort zone. And I would make up excuses as to why I couldn't go, or I would go and I'd feel a lot of anxiety or maybe even have a panic attack, during the night while I was there. And traveling also gives me a lot of anxiety as well, just because, I'm outside of my comfort zone. You're not always in control of your environment and stuff when you travel. And so that can be very unsettling for me. And so sometimes really fun trips will turn into just this, well of anxiety that happens constantly. And I've had panic attacks my entire life as well. I've had them since I was a kid, although I didn't really know that that's what they were when I was a kid. But when I have panic attacks, they can even last for hours. And so the result of all of this stuff is that when you have anxiety that's just kind of constantly there, particularly if you go through a stressful situation and then it just bumps up to another level, you start panicking, and it's just so overwhelming that it's really hard then to concentrate on other things like making videos, because I'm so distracted by the anxiety and these, horrible thoughts I'm having, that there's no chance for me to be able to just sit down here and film a normal video. Like, it just, that can't happen when I'm in that state of mind. While I've had anxiety all my life, the past couple of months, it kind of like just ramped up to another level. Starting in the beginning of February, when we had that ice storm come through, we lost power, and it was just a really uncomfortable situation for a while, and it was really hard for somebody with a lot of anxiety to cope with that. And then, like, almost immediately after we got past that, I found out that one of my friends that I grew up with has like stage 4 colon cancer. She is like the third person my age that I know that has colon cancer, and it's crazy because, you know, younger people aren't really supposed to it's supposed to be really rare, you know, for younger people to get that, but the fact that I personally know 3 people my age who have gotten it is just it's mind-boggling. You know, of course, with me having health anxiety, that also, you know, started freaking me out about like that. And then I had like a weird test result on a blood test that I had at the doctor's office, and so that had me thinking that I had some horrible disease going on, and so that was like a week of me panicking over that. Then it turned out to be nothing, you know, it turned out to be just fine. And then, you know, the transmission in my car is going out actually, and I was quoted like basically $4,000 to get that fixed, and so that adds some financial stress to things, plus my car just like not working that great when I drive it. And then like the whole like war in Europe with Russia and Ukraine breaks out, and you know, Putin's going to like nuclear alert 2, and the US, the NATO's ramping up their nuclear war alerts, and you know, Putin's threatening to nuke, you know, basically the world if he doesn't get his way with stuff. And people are talking about this is the beginning of World War III. And so basically just like all of that piled on in the past couple of months, you know, again, has just like really made my anxiety harder to control. My doctor has been trying to get me to start on anti-anxiety medication, particularly Zoloft or sertraline, if you guys are familiar with that. I was, again, having health anxiety, nervous about getting side effects, because if you go online and you read the reviews, I mean, almost every person that leaves a review says that they had side effects, some of them really, really bad. I was really, really scared to start taking it for those reasons. Plus, I just did not like the idea of being on medication to have to control my anxiety. It just kind of felt like a cop-out, you know, to have something to control my brain. So, I don't know, like, that just seemed a little unnerving to me. But things had just, like, gotten so bad, you know, and you're talking about just, like, accumulating over my entire life, but especially over the past couple of months, that I had to do something because I just wasn't able to function normally anymore. Making videos was a struggle. Even though I wanted to do it, I just could not get myself to mentally or physically settle down enough to where I could, you know, film and just like do normal stuff. Like, just life in general got hard. So I finally got over my fear of taking Zoloft. I just started out with a really, really small dose. Or sertraline, and I kind of built it up over a couple of weeks to the kind of minimum therapeutic dose of it. And this is it right here. This is sertraline. These are 50 milligram tablets, and this is what it looks like. It's just a tiny like blue pill. And if you ever have anxiety and you're thinking about going on Zoloft or sertraline, this is kind of what it looks like. It's really easy to get down. They're not too big, but you take it once a day. I take it with like food just to make sure that I don't get any sort of stomach upset from it. And thankfully, I've had no real physical side effects from it at all. All of the side effects I was scared about getting, I never got them at all. It's been perfectly fine. I don't notice anything physically from taking these, but they are supposed to take a few weeks to kick in, so you know, you're probably not going to notice anything right away when you start to take it. But I will say though that after my first week of taking sertraline, I was taking 25 milligrams, and I did notice that when I went into that fight or flight mode with anxiety and it started to build into a panic attack, it wasn't as hard to control it and to kind of tamp it back down a little bit. I noticed that if I did start to panic, it would last about 10 or 15 minutes instead of my normal like 2 or 3 hours. And I could suddenly start to use some distraction techniques that before were impossible for me to do when I was panicking. I just could not snap myself out of it to save my life. Suddenly, when I tried to distract myself, it was like my brain was able to move from whatever was causing me to panic to this other thing that I was concentrating on. And one of those things I like to do is this game Wordscapes right here, and can't really see it, but it's basically like almost like a crossword puzzle, but they give you a bunch of letters down here, and you kind of have to like come up with, unscramble them and come up with a bunch of words to fill in the puzzle up here. I like this because I'm a very like language oriented person, and it's fun. It's fun to do, and it lets me move my thoughts to this rather than whatever it is that is giving me anxiety. And before, when I tried to do that, before I started taking sertraline and Zoloft, if I tried to do a puzzle like this during a panic attack, it just wouldn't work. Like the panic was just so overwhelming that nothing I tried, nothing that any sort of like therapist tried to get me to do would work. No mindfulness, nothing. But the Zoloft has allowed my brain to be able to shift from those anxious thoughts to, playing Wordscapes or to something else. Or sometimes I can just like stop the thoughts, without having to do anything. I can just say, okay, I'm not gonna think about that anymore, and I'm gonna, think about something else. And I'm able to kind of do that now. And I'm starting on week 6 of taking Zoloft at 50 milligrams, and it really, really has helped. It's kind of just been a subtle change over the course of a few weeks where I went from like full-on panic attacks and not being able to control them to now, I haven't really had a panic attack in maybe a week or 2, even with everything going on. I still get anxiety, but again, it's like as soon as I start feeling it, I'm able to like kind of stop it and move to something else. So Zoloft hasn't completely eliminated anxiety for me. I still get it, but it's controllable now. And instead of like catastrophizing things, if I have some anxious thoughts, instead of going to like worst case scenario, I'm able to rationalize it a bit more and keep it from getting to that level. Now, mentally, however, I have struggled a bit. Now, unfortunately, me starting Zoloft coincided with the war in Ukraine, and me being somebody who likes military strategy and history, and I like geopolitics. I mean, you just look at all of the videos on my channel, you know that I enjoy stuff like that. And the war in Ukraine has, in Russia's military has been a in real-time study of all of that. And it's been absolutely fascinating for me to keep up with the news on what's going on, particularly you can go onto like Reddit and you can get really into the weeds of what's going on. And I started doing that. I started following this really probably about a week before Russia actually invaded Ukraine. And the build up to it was, I mean, it's a horrible thing what's going on now. I don't want you to misunderstand me. I'm not cheering on what's going on, but I'm just saying from a pure academic standpoint, it's a really fascinating thing to watch. And I frankly wish it wasn't going on because, obviously I feel bad for the people in Ukraine who are getting, blown to bits. Basically, their entire lives are turned upside down right now. It's stuff that like, it's World War II type stuff that you thought was in the past, and is happening again in our current lives. And it's crazy to see that stuff happening now. And it's crazy to see a dictator, Putin's gone, like full dictator mode now. And it's interesting seeing something like that happening. People can compare him to like Stalin and Hitler, which I don't think he's maybe on their level yet, but he's moving in that direction. So it's been hard for me to tear myself away from all of that as well. I've learned a ton of stuff about, about world events and how things work on the international stage and I've learned a lot of the geography of like Eastern Europe and stuff, especially with all of this, is been this weird like catch-22 situation where it's giving me a lot of like anxiety and stress to be keeping up with what's going on over there, but at the same time it's like so fascinating that I can't tear myself away from it. And I just kind of got into a really downward spiral, especially over the past 2 or 3 weeks. I just started feeling super depressed. And this was really, really hard for me to overcome. I just kind of got to the point where things got so bad with the news and everything, and I was struggling with, you know, beating the anxiety, medical uncertainty and stuff. And I got to just like a really, really dark place about 3 weeks ago, and I just kind of felt like I had lost hope, you know? And so I kind of got stuck into this like really depressing feeling for a couple of weeks, to the point to where like I just stopped caring about anything. I couldn't bring myself to do anything other than just kind of like doom scroll with the news and play wordscapes. Like that was literally all I could get myself to do. The thought of like sitting down and making a video was just so overwhelming, and I just couldn't bring myself to do it. My brain was just like, nope, I can't concentrate on anything right now. And I just became emotionally numb to everything. And that is a possible side effect of Zoloft as well. I don't know if it was just like me inputting a bunch of like stressful stuff into my brain, and my brain just kind of got overloaded and just couldn't handle anything anymore, or if it was a side effect of Zoloft, because it is a very well-known side effect that SSRIs like Zoloft or sertraline can cause you to feel depressed or to create this like emotional numbness in you where you just like stop caring about stuff. And that's the way I felt over the past couple of weeks. I just didn't care about anything, like nothing. I just felt like I was existing and felt completely disconnected from, you know, people and the world and everything. I just kind of wanted to sit here and exist. Like that's all I could bring myself to do, basically. And it wasn't until a couple of days ago that I actually snapped out of that. And I don't know what caused the change, but I got really, really scared because it was very unsettling for you to suddenly just stop caring about stuff and just not really have any emotions. Like I couldn't get excited about anything. I had a hard time getting really sad about stuff. It was just kind of like me sitting there in neutral, and I kind of felt like a robot, you know, like an uncaring, unfeeling robot. And I guess the good news is I wasn't like feeling a lot of anxiety or anything, so Zoloft did its job with it like quelling my anxiety because I wasn't really feeling anything. You know, but it was really, really hard because I was like, I got stuff to do. I want to make videos. I want to do all of these things, but I can't bring myself to do it. It's really hard to describe. I got scared because I was like, well, is this going to be what it's like on Zoloft? You know, is it going to be to where I can't get work done anymore? I can't care about, you know, like talking to other people anymore. It's a really bad place to be, you know, because it just kind of like, it makes you not be able to function in society. And you start wondering if you're ever going to get yourself back together again, be productive. It's just, I felt awful. I just felt awful. And like I said, thankfully a couple of days ago, I started to snap out of it and I got my emotions back and I got my desire to work back. Started to get excited about my YouTube channel again and Patreon and all of the things that I, you know, want to do. And I don't know, I just kind of feel hopeful again and I feel excited about life again. I'm not feeling a lot of anxiety. Like I said, it's still kind of there a little bit. It creeps up every once in a while. I still have anxious thoughts, but they're controllable now. You know, I'm able to manage them now. And so I'm hoping that, you know, whatever was causing the depression over the last few weeks has subsided, and now I can kind of get back into the swing of things. I just wanted to kind of like tell you guys all of that because I wanted you to know what's been going on in my life, why it's been affecting my channel. If you're somebody out there who struggles with anxiety or depression or, you know, panic attacks, you know, you're not alone. There are a lot of people in the world that have this problem, and it's hard to sit here and talk about it and admit that you have this problem for the entire world to see, because I think most people want to present their lives as like this awesome thing. They don't have any problems, and life is great, especially with social media. People like to portray things that way, and they end up hiding all of the negative stuff that happens. I did that for a while. I didn't want to talk about my issues with anxiety. I didn't want to admit that I had that, because it feels very, like you're a weak person, like you have a vulnerability, that you're not normal. But I think anxiety is a very normal thing for a lot of people, and it just happens to be that some people like me have a much harder time controlling anxiety. It just gets out of control, and it starts really affecting your life in a very negative way. And that's kind of where I've been. If you are like me and you have anxiety, just know that there are things you can do to fix it. My advice would be to maybe see a therapist if you can. I've been talking to one for a couple of years now, or almost a couple of years. I use the BetterHelp service online, and it's much cheaper than in-person therapy. It took me a couple of tries to find the right therapist, but I finally found one who is really good and works really well with me. But if nothing else, it's just good to be able to vent to somebody who is trained in mental health and psychology, and who can give you the proper feedback that you need in order to maybe think differently about things, or different approaches you can take. But unfortunately, my anxiety was bad enough to where I couldn't just use sort of psychological tricks to get myself out of it. I had to have medication in order to manage it. So if that is you, then maybe, talk to your doctor as well. Just my regular doctor was able to prescribe the sertraline for me, and I've been having some regular follow-up visits with her just to make sure it's going okay. And, we'll talk about dosage, whether it needs to be changed or whatever. And sertraline is just one medication among many, and thankfully it is helping me with my anxiety, but it may not be for everybody. There are other medications out there, and so if it doesn't work for you for whatever reason, then you and your doctor can, experiment with different medications and find the right one for you. And like I said, I've only been on sertraline. I've just finished the week 5 of it, going on week 6, and I wouldn't say it's been life-changing for me or anything, but it has allowed me to function without that constant anxiety in the background. And it could be that I need to up my dose a little bit in order to get, some better effects from it. We'll see. But it has been helpful, definitely. And it is nice to not have like these constant intrusive thoughts that like something bad is about to happen all the time, because that's, how I used to live. I was constantly waiting for the other shoe to drop, every day. I was expecting bad things to happen. And at least the sertraline, the Zoloft, has helped to kind of like keep that at bay a lot more. So that's basically it. This has been a much longer video than I wanted. I wanted to just like release a quick like 5-minute video talking about this, but it's really hard to fit a subject like this into 5 minutes. But I don't know, if this is something that you're interested in, maybe I can post an update down the road about like how things are going with my anxiety, how is sertraline working over a longer term, all of that stuff. So if you're interested in that, let me know down in the comments. If you have any questions also for me about any of this, feel free to ask me down in the comments as well. I'll try to make sure that I read through all of them and answer your questions if I can. But the good news is that after this roller coaster of the last couple of months, I feel like things are evening out now with me emotionally, mentally. I still have some challenges ahead, like I still have some things to overcome, but things are much better than they were. And I have kept in touch with what's going on in the news, but I have stopped obsessing over it like I was. And I am really excited about the future of this channel and the things that I want to do. There's so much still left to learn out there. There's so many videos left to do, and I want to continue to grow this channel. And I hope all of you will come along for the journey with me. And I really can't wait to get back into the swing of things. I've really missed being able to, interact with all of you and to put out new content. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know where I've been, what I've been going through, and that I am back and looking forward to getting out new videos for you this week and hopefully well into the future as well. I want to keep going with this as long as I possibly can. But I really appreciate all of you guys for your support on this channel, for watching the videos, for leaving the comments, for liking the videos, and just for the encouraging words that you guys leave for me as well. It's nice to know that, you know, all of this isn't in vain. So I don't know. I hope this video is a help to somebody out there who is going through all of this, you know, same stuff. Again, I'm not doing it to get, you know, gain sympathy from you guys, but I did want to, you know, just talk about it. So you guys stay tuned for that stuff. I appreciate you guys watching if you're still here at the end of this video. But yeah, thanks guys for everything. Oh, Roger says hey too right here. Kind of ignored him for this entire video. Anyway, Roger, Scarlett, and I were Scarlett. She's right there, just chilling on the bed. All three of us, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.